Hattie and I am back for part 3 of Hogwarts. So this is going to be the rest of the interior, which I didn't finish off in the last part. So this is the bit when I do the bedrooms, the basement, and all the fun parts, which I just couldn't manage in part 2. So anyway, it's on the Sims 4 gallery if you want to go and download it and put it into your game. I'm going to leave the links below in the description, and you can go and find my origin ID on there. If you want to follow for more creations in the future, then you can go and do that as well. But anyway, this was a basement. This was a bit that I started off doing because this was a very, very important bit of the build. Being a Slytherin myself, I wanted to really put a lot of effort into the basement. So what I did was I did it to a basic standard, and then I went back a little bit and I started adding more rooms. So originally I only had the Slytherin common room down here, and I also had Snape's potions room, dark arts room, I'm not sure what it's called. But I got an amazing suggestion of Bryony M, who commented on my last video, who told me that I can change the light colours for the rooms, and I really love that suggestion, so I used it in this build. So thank you for that, because it was very, very important for this to have that, and I changed all the common room colours to the actual colours of the houses. So Gryffindor was a reddy colour. I think Gryffindor's red, I'm not too sure though. But the room itself, you'll see that in a little bit, so I guess we'll get to seeing that. But anyway, so Ravenclaw was blue and Hufflepuff was a yellowy orange sort of colour. But I mean, I'm not 100%, so don't hold me to it, because I'm not amazing at the houses. I just know that I'm in Slytherin. Slytherin's green, and I have a Slytherin wand, which I didn't actually mention. I bought 2 wands from Disney Universal. I got that wrong last time. Yeah, it's Disney Universal. I actually got the Voldemort wand and I got Dumbledore's wand. So Voldemort was in Slytherin, Tom Riddle. So yeah, I got his wand, and I have to say that it's a fantastic wand. I didn't get the special effects though, I didn't do that. But yeah, it was a fantastic thing to have, and I'm pretty proud that I have it. But anyway, so this was the basement. At this point, I was just decorating the little bits. I wanted to put a bathroom down here, so I did. I went on to that in a second though, so you'll see. At this point, I was just trying to figure out the common room colours. I was looking at the pictures online of the Slytherin common room. There were a lot of fan pictures of people drawing their own versions of it, and I really liked that. So I paid a lot of attention to what people have had in there already, and I tried to make it as accurate as I could. I noticed there was some black and white floor tiles, so I put those in there. I also didn't want to make the room too big, because I thought with this build having 4 common rooms, and then of course I just wanted other rooms which were definitely usable as well. I thought I didn't want to make them too big, because that would just be a little bit crazy to make them humongous. I just thought that this would be a better idea. And I think what I would do is I would use this room for a group. So if you have the Sims 4 get together and you have the group feature, then you could make your own group up, and you could have the Slytherin group down here, you could have the Hufflepuffs upstairs, the Gryffindors on the top level, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, that's what I would personally do. I think that I will be using Hogwarts at some point. I'm not sure whether it will be for a Let's Play or a challenge. I am just not sure. I've had so many suggestions though. So of course, if you have any suggestions that you want to see it as, if you want me to do a Let's Play in this build, then just let me know, because I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. I am just not sure what I'm going to do yet. But this was Snape's potion room in here. So this was a classroom which was downstairs. So this is where he would teach the dark arts and things. I tried to go a little bit overboard and put those alcoholic shelves in, but I thought no. Tried to make them look a little bit like potions, but I just don't think they worked in the end. They look really modern. So I left a few of them in, but I did actually replace the left side with some bookcases, because I thought that that would be a little bit more accurate. Whilst I was building this room, the accuracy was really important to me, so that is why I did include those items around it, and I included a lot of sculptures in here, because I wanted to pay close attention to the pictures that I was seeing when I was searching for photos of the room. And I found a lot of screenshots from the film that were just screenshotted or fan pictures, so I took a lot of those into consideration as well while I was building this. The classroom itself was probably not as big as it was in the films or books, but I wanted to make it quite small and quite cozy and decorative, so that it would give people the opportunity to expand it if you wanted to. So you could just drag the wall out and put some more desks in if you wanted to do that. I wanted to leave it like that though because I thought that it looked quite nice and I didn't want this build being too big. So a lot of the rooms were smaller versions than they would actually be, because if I wanted to create really, really big rooms anyway for each and individual room, then I probably need a bigger plot than a 64 by 64. I'd probably need 100 by 100 or even bigger than that, and that would really give me the leeway to create an accurate Hogwarts. But anyway, I was just filling up the general bits and bobs downstairs with items. I did actually take that fireplace out though, so you'll see that in a little bit. And where the fireplace is, that was actually the entrance to the Slytherin bedrooms, because I couldn't actually think about where I would want them, and I thought they'd actually go quite nicely downstairs in the dungeons. I'm not sure where Slytherin members would sleep. I'm not sure if it would be by their common rooms. I just don't know that. But you'll see there's some rocks poking through the walls, and I actually really liked that effect. Same with the bushes that were just going through the walls a little bit, like every now and then. But I thought that that actually looked quite nice because it looked like it was the dungeons, and I think that it really suited the build, so I left those features in. With this bathroom here, I tried to make it look quite basic and quite small, because I did decide that I didn't want big bathrooms in this build. I wanted small ones and to kind of keep them out of the way, because it was more of a decorative build rather than focused on the bathrooms. I was also thinking about the pipes. I was thinking, because it's the dungeons, would it have some pipes there? I think it would. And I was pretty happy with that. So I left the pipes down there. I was also thinking back to the second film when the snake was going through the pipes, if it was the second, or I can't remember if it was second or third. But either way, there were definitely some pipes down there, so that's why I included those. At this part, I was trying to figure out which rooms I would be using upstairs, because some of the towers were unfortunately unusable where I couldn't put a staircase. We can't have spiral staircases yet, which would have definitely helped me out within this build. And when we do, I will definitely be going back to Hogwarts and I'll be putting them in and really using those towers that I just couldn't use. It was such a shame though, because there were just some that I just couldn't get access to, and I really wanted to. But anyway, I was putting some bathrooms in these very small rooms because I just thought that would be the best thing to do. In this room, I wanted the mirror where Harry was looking at, but then I realised it was probably too far down for that. But I still left it there, but if you wanted to change it a floor up, then you could, because that tower actually is a floor up, but I just deleted the top floor, so it's got a humongous overhang when you go up there. But this was when I was moving on to the bedrooms. I put in 4 bedrooms for this whole build because I wanted to have all the beds together, but if you wanted to have 4 main bedrooms that were really grand, but you could just take these single beds out and you could change them around. But I just thought for Hogwarts, I would have it being more of a place where lots and lots of children could sleep, then that would be a better idea. So that was Ravenclaw's bedroom there. This was when I was expanding the dungeons, so I was downstairs at this point again to the basements, and I thought that it would be quite nice if I had somewhere that would be a little bit strange. It'd be dark, gloomy, and this would really be a spooky part of Hogwarts. This would be where, if your Sims were misbehaving, they would get sent to, which I can relate a lot to. I always do this in the big mansions. There is always like a hidden hiding place where if I don't like a particular Sim, I will just lock them down there. I know, I am really horrible when it comes to stuff like this, but I do this every time. I can't help it, and I just thought that the dungeons were just a perfect place for Hogwarts, and it would just be a really good place for your Sims to go if they were misbehaving, and it would just be a bit of depth to another storyline, which I really liked, so I put those in just briefly. I was thinking about how I would do these areas because this was just a room that was unusable as well. So a lot of these rooms that were unusable, I just had as a humongous overhang, so these rooms would have ginormous ceilings, which I really like the idea of and would definitely be a nice touch to the screenshots, which you will see at the end of the video with the hint to the next build that I'll be doing, because that's what I do at the end of part 3s. I always put in the hint to the next big build that I will be doing, and you can work it out for yourselves. That is a new thing, which I only did on my last video, so I don't know why I said always, because it's a new thing. But either way, this was Ravenclaw's common room at the moment. I wanted to make this being quite a small room. I didn't have much room to put in a big common room for Ravenclaw anyway, and I just felt like I already had some lounges that were already there, so I didn't want to clutter it up too much. But I just put in a darts table to finish it off because I wanted to have some skill building things in here, so I thought that would be quite a nice finish. Also put some plants in because I love plants. Even in Hogwarts, I think Hogwarts is still nice and it could do with some plants, so that's what I thought. I also put some nice curtains in and I was changing the light colours, so that's what I was doing. Also went back to Hufflepuff's common room and I changed the light colours in there, so I think it looks a lot more special than it did. I was actually very happy with that, so that was nice. This room was filled with Gryffindor beds. I thought red, because that's the colour I associate Gryffindor with, and I put in an arts easel, just some more skill building items in here. I put in a sofa, just to kind of break it up a bit, because I thought if these rooms were just filled with beds, they wouldn't look that special. And I thought I definitely wanted it to look like a boarding school bedroom, which I did actually ask my fiance about because he went to a boarding school and he was helping me a lot with that part, because I was asking him questions about how his boarding school days were and he was just telling me, he was just saying it was like this, it was more like this. And it was quite nice to get somebody's personal opinion of what boarding schools were actually like. I mean, I don't know myself because I never went to one, and I'm definitely not saying Hogwarts was anything like his old boarding school, because it definitely wasn't, but minus the magic, it probably wasn't that far off, and I wanted to get the rooms as accurately as I could. And a lot of the time I felt like I was forgetting things and he was saying, no, you need this in here, you need that in there, so definitely helped me out. But anyway, so I was putting a staircase in at this point. I was trying to figure out where I would be putting it. I couldn't figure out where a good place would be, so I did actually end up putting it in Hufflepuff's common room because that was the only way I could do it. And it was really irritating because I wish that we did have a spiral staircase so that I could have put it in one of the smaller rooms and had it out the way, and it wouldn't have interfered with this room whatsoever. But I still think that it looks quite nice. I think that it looks a little bit more cluttered than it did, but it was definitely necessary to have this. And what I liked about it is the fact that if you go up here, then your Sims will have to exit this room through the door and they'll have to actually go outside, which I really like because I tried to incorporate the outside of Hogwarts as much as I possibly could in the build. So I really like the fact that you have to go over those special tunnels that I put outside, and I like that. But this was where I would be expecting Hufflepuff to be sleeping. I just thought some bedrooms like this would be nice. This bedroom was probably one of the biggest bedrooms that I put in for the pupils because I just thought this was the biggest room, and it looks quite nice. I like it. It has a big ceiling as well, like the other rooms, like the towers do, and I was pretty happy with that. But at this point, I was just trying to clear out some of the walls which were on the inside of the rooms. I was having a bit of a problem because on some of the rooms, the paneling was coming through and I was trying desperately to sort it out. But this was the Gryffindor common room, so I did actually change the wallpaper to a more reddy colour because I didn't think that this pink colour that we got with the spooky stuff pack really fitted the room, so I did change it to this colour, which you'll see now. The room itself wasn't actually that big, but what I did was I thought a lot about where the Gryffindor common room would be. And a lot of you said that it would be in a tower, so I went with the tower idea rather than the actual largeness of the room. And I was just going back to live mode. I was changing the colours of the lights around, making it more red, and I quite liked that. It looks a little bit gloomy. I also put a fridge in here because it's a long way from any appliances, so you could definitely expand that into a kitchen bit if you wanted to. I just thought a fridge would be quite nice, just for snacks and things. I mean, if the Sims got hungry, if you wanted to have this being a group area, then you could have it a little bit near a kitchen and it wouldn't be that much of an issue. That's what I did. I also noticed a chess table on the pictures that I saw of Gryffindor's common room, so I put one of those in. I was quite happy with that, and that is how that room finished off looking. I put some storage in the areas which were just unusable and I couldn't access, so hope that nobody minds about that bit, but I really liked it in the end. This was the part when I was trying to sort out the paneling, which was a humongous issue of this whole build, but I think that I did sort it more or less in the end, and it's only really the top floor which suffers sometimes. But I think it sorted itself out and I was pretty happy with that. But this was just an ordinary place for the Sims to go. I wanted to have a lounge that wouldn't necessarily be a common room, and it would be a place which all the groups could meet in and they could all have a good time together and they could just meet up after class and stuff, because I just don't think that schools would really have it being completely sectioned off between houses. I know that in my old school we did have houses, but it was definitely an important part of a school day to socialise with everybody else as well, because I had 4 houses in my old school. I was actually in a blue house, so I guess I would have been in Ravenclaw. But I mean, that's just because it's a blue colour, but I would actually have the personality of a Slytherin. But anyway, so I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand, but I thought that that room would be quite a nice feature to have for this build, and I was pretty happy with how that turned out. This was the part when I was trying to figure out what I would do with the top floor of the build, which wasn't being used. So what I did was I just expanded it and I just made it a humongous overhang, which I just really, really liked about this build. This was the grand library which I was going to come to, so this is where Finch and his cat would be roaming around. I wish we could have cats in The Sims 4, I would just love them. Even if they weren't part of a ordinary daily process, like you wouldn't have to play as the cat necessarily. It would just be something to walk around. I would love that. I would have my dog permanently following me around. I would just love that. But anyway, so this was the library. I wanted to make this really grand, as I said in the last part. So I did. I went to a great amount of efforts to make this being one of the grandest rooms because I know how grand it is in Hogwarts. I remember when I was playing the PC version game of Harry Potter, I was constantly trying to get past the library level because Peeves was in there and he was so frightening. I'm not sure if Peeves is in there in the books because I haven't read the books, but Peeves has got to be one of the best characters that was left out of the Harry Potter films. I know all about him. He used to scare me to death when I was a child and I used to have to get past him every time. He used to just pop out of nowhere and it was just the most frightening thing ever, but that's why I tried to make the library really grand because I just have so many great memories of exploring this part of Hogwarts and being really involved in the PC game of it. So that's what I was thinking about a lot at this point. I did get rid of a lot of those brown curtains that you'll see as well. All the ones on the top floor were currently disappearing at this point because I just thought that it was too over the top. I did exactly the same thing with the Great Gatsby mansion that I did not long ago and I completely regretted it, so I took them out at the end as well. So that just never works. 2 sets of curtains, I'm not a fan. But anyway, so I was putting in some pictures. I tried to fill up this room a lot. I made it look really grand. I also used a fantastic idea which somebody gave me, but I can't remember who it was. But the idea was to put the grids on and then put the lights on the top floor, and it just makes life so much easier, and it did that. It really did. So I'm completely grateful to whoever that was. I will put your name in the description and personally say thank you to you. But anyway, so this was the last part of the build. At least I think it was. This was the bit which I just couldn't decide what to do, and I just thought I have a lack of classrooms at this precise moment, so I thought it would be nice just to have another classroom of just chairs, tables, things like that, just generic things you'd see in an everyday classroom, and I thought that that would be really important. This was also still the music part of the build, so I put in some art easels, but you'll see those in a bit. I was just finishing off this room with some more library things, like bookcases. I forgot the word then, but I was just putting in just some general things. I put another piano in because you can never get enough pianos in a build, so I thought that would be a good idea. I was also just repeating those pictures, which I know that I used, but I just didn't have any other options to. I think that hopefully in the future, when I come back to decorating Hogwarts, and maybe I'll do it all again at some point, I will be able to put in some more pictures because I just didn't have the ability to do that at this point. But I was just having a general check round and making sure all the lights were in and there were no parts of the build which looked particularly dark, even though it was Hogwarts. I didn't want it to look too dark. But at this point we were down to the basement again, so this was where I was adding a Slytherin bedroom. I thought that this would be a really nice place to have it. It's a little bit gloomier, but I just love it down here. I just adore this area, and I was really happy that I did think of the idea to do that because I think that Slytherin bedrooms would potentially be in the basement, but I'm not sure. But anyway, there were lots of beds here, so I'm guessing there'll be a lot of Slytherin members for whoever lives here. I just thought this would be quite nice, and it's a big area to fill as well. You could really expand this bedroom, unlike the others. You could make this humongous if you wanted to, but I just thought it would be nice if I left it like this. But I put some rugs down here, I put some pictures up and just some general decorations because I didn't want anything too fancy for that area. But that is the end of the build, so I really hope you enjoyed it and I hope to see you all for future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to show you the screenshots now.